Are you good?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. Welcome back to another Skin and Naturopathy Q&A with Em.
Hello.
So today's topic is all about dermatitis. So dermatitis refers to a group of skin conditions that result in inflammation. Our two most commonly seen types are contact dermatitis, which is commonly found on your fingers, and atopic dermatitis, which, as we've learned in our recent blog post, is eczema. So just to stay up to date with everything, we'll refer to eczema as atopic dermatitis. All right, so let's get into it. So coming from a skin background, we approach dermatitis and atopic dermatitis slightly differently. Is that the same with you from a naturopathy perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at every skin case in a holistic perspective, and the treatment outcome will be different for both.
Beautiful. So when a client comes to see you with what appears to be atopic dermatitis, what key signs and symptoms do you look for when deciding on how to manage it?
Yeah, so atopic dermatitis doesn't commonly present on its own. It's an umbrella term of lots of other conditions that might be going on as well. So do they have a history of asthma, hay fever, food intolerances, the filaggrin gene deficiency? There's usually a lot to unpack.
Alrighty. So do you have any specific questions that you need to ask to decide to rule out certain management pathways?
Allergies is usually a big one, whether something that you're allergic to or have an intolerance to, and that could be something internal like a food, or it could be an external allergy. And then, of course, what they've done in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then anything topical that they've used. So steroids is a big thing too, because treatment plan-wise, that will change because we've got, as you'll know, steroid withdrawal symptoms as well to manage.
Yeah. So in our last Q&A, we learnt that rosacea is heavily immune-driven. So I'd love to know a little bit more about what is happening internally for someone with atopic dermatitis.
I mean, I'm on repeat again, immune system based, but different pathway this time. We're exploring the histamine link, and then, of course, the gut connection too. So there's certain bacteria within the gut that can be high and low in atopic conditions like eczema.
Beautiful. So if a client has a past history of atopic dermatitis on their body, how likely is it that they might develop it on their face, or is it just sort of luck of the draw?
Oh, I do wish I could be more specific, but what we can go off is there's different immune cells located in different parts of the face. So if you were to get it on your face, typically that would mean that it would present around the eyes, around the mouth, or around the nose.
So now that we know a little bit more about atopic dermatitis, what are you able to do in order to help support and manage a client's journey?
So usually we'll organise pathology testing straight away just so we know exactly what we're dealing with and which pathway we want to go down. We could use nutraceuticals, like all of the immune system, beautiful nutrients like vitamin C, zinc, E, A, and the list goes on. Lots of beautiful herbs for modulating the immune system, and that probiotic I mentioned before as well. So Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which has amazing clinical research on it. And then the conversation can look a little different to everyone. So we've got things like environmental triggers like mold, and that could look like getting your house investigated for mold that you didn't know that you had. So yeah, the conversation could go anywhere.
Yeah, wow. So, yeah, as we all know, food is such a big part of our lives. So is there anything that you might suggest someone steer clear from if they are experiencing a flare-up?
Histamine would be something that I definitely want to spend some time talking about. And histamine foods are really obscure, like they're things that we have in our diet quite commonly. So it's things like avocado, strawberries, fermented foods. And people are usually quite caught off guard because they're deemed very healthy foods, and they absolutely are. But in the circumstance of histamine overload, we'd want to have a pause on those foods and reintroduce them at a later date.
All right, well, it's good to know that you can reintroduce them at some point. And then I guess to follow up with that question, are there any foods that could potentially help a flare-up as well?
I would definitely increase your essential fatty acids. So lots of really beautiful fish. I wouldn't include avo in that. So normally avo is the go-to essential fatty acid, but we'll have a break on that and focus on the fish.
Yeah, perfect. Now you did mention that mold can have a bit of an effect. So are there any other environmental triggers that people could potentially look out for?
Yeah, so even things like pollens, grasses, the list really does go on. there's so many environmental triggers. It could even be different pollutants that are in the air. Where are you working every day? Like, what pollutants are you exposed to? Are you indoors? Are you outdoors? Yeah, there's lots to unpack.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that kind of, well, yeah, sort of wrap things up for today, but I guess leading on to that there are so many factors that are
Absolutely.
lifestyle, internal, everything. So if you are experiencing a flare-up or think you have maybe in the past or anything like that, definitely come in and see us. You can leave any questions in the comments section or just ask us. That's totally fine.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely book in a consultation as well if you do have, you know, some symptoms and things like that and you want to go a little bit more in depth with your specific journey.
Thank you. We'll see you in the clinic soon.